You'd start with all countries.
President Donald Trump now says reciprocal tariffs he plans to unveil Wednesday are on the table for all nations. That's after the Treasury Secretary told Fox Business earlier this month the focus was on those with the largest trade deficits.
Hey guys, what's happening? This is important, and you need to share the channel. You need to share the video with your friends as well. Get them to subscribe. Tomorrow, 2nd April, the United States government will implement tariffs on China and other nations. It means more inflation, and it could mean devaluation of dollars, currencies in the Eastern Caribbean. We know about Jamaican, we know about Trinidad, we know about the effects it had on the Barbados dollar before with recessions. Somehow or the other, the Eastern Caribbean dollar have stood the test of time because it's pegged to the United States dollar. And it's been like that for decades. But this current tariff, this current move by the US administration is going to have some effects on the Eastern Caribbean dollars, whether we like it or not. I want to talk about it because a lot of people are not talking about it. The discussion is not going far enough. Now, the Eastern Caribbean dollar is one of the most overlooked currencies in the global financial landscape. And with the US tariff taking effect tomorrow, I believe there is a hidden agenda at play, and that few people are really discussing. On the surface, I want to say that these tariffs appear to target specific goods and industries. However, they are part of what I would want to say a broader financial strategy. You see, the US recognizes that smaller regional currencies like the EC dollar, they're easier to manipulate than the larger currencies like the euro or maybe even the yen. But strategically applying these tariffs, what Washington is doing is not merely pressuring trade partners like China and Canada and Mexico. It is attempting to, what I would say, destabilize smaller financial systems to create dependency on the US dollar. And the idea of the US dollar being the dominant dollar in the region has been floated on more than one occasion. So there is implication for this current move by the US administration. There is implication because one, there's inflation and devaluation. I don't know, many of the Eastern Caribbean nations, they rely heavily on imports, particularly from the US. And these tariffs could lead to what you would say higher prices, thereby weakening the purchasing power of the EC dollar. As inflation rises, consumers will find it more hard to deal with goods and services. And that is something that you ought to pay attention to. It's going to lead to a decline in overall economic well-being. There's also going to be pressure on the central bank. Now, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank will face significant pressure to increase the foreign reserves or adjust its monetary policy. And what this will do is result in tighter controls, which aligns with US interests. And as one of the economists out of Trinidad would have told me, a constrained monetary policy could hinder the economic growth of the region and limit the ECCB's ability to respond effectively to this financial crisis. So that's one. There's going to be pressure on the central bank. We're looking at inflation, possible devaluation of the currency. And then there's disruption of the digital currency initiatives. You know that we've been hearing so much about people wanting to go CDBs. They wanted to go digital currency. The ECCB has been advocating for its digital currency. I think most of you would have heard about Dcash. It's an alternative to the traditional banking system. Now, what you would find is that a weakened EC dollar could either accelerate the adoption of the Dcash, or it can render the region more vulnerable to financial interference from external entities such as the International Monetary Fund, or maybe corporate backed digital currencies, because there are a lot of companies into this CDB now. And so the future of, I would say, the financial transaction in the Eastern Caribbean may hinge on how many of these dynamics play out. So you're talking about inflation and possible devaluation. You're talking about disruption of the digital currency initiatives. And you're also talking about pressure on the central bank, right? Now, I believe that the ultimate goal of these tariffs is destabilization. That is just my thought. And you can have your thought and you can leave it in the comment section below. I believe so. Because the overarching aim appears to be destabilization when you look at it. And if the EC dollar weakens sufficiently, it could lead to a push for a full dollarization. And this scenario actually would involve the Eastern Caribbean nations abandoning their own currency in favor of the US dollar. Now, such a shift would grant Washington complete financial control over the region, and it is going to be eliminating the possibility of independence and economic policies and resistance, which is what they want. All these are hypothetical because of what is going on, and it's something that you are to pay attention to. There's the idea of the US dollar being dominant in the region has been floated for years. Economists out of Barbados have talking about it. I heard people in the Eastern Caribbean have talked about it. But of course, the EC dollar has held strong over the years, is pegged to the US currency. We've seen what happened to the Jamaican dollar. We've seen what happened to the Trinidad dollar, the Barbados dollar itself. But the Eastern Caribbean dollar seemed to be the one that has been holding the fort. Something could be amiss. I believe that this is more pressure to devalue all of these currencies within the Eastern Caribbean. So the question is, what lies ahead with all these tariffs and what does Trump intend to do really well in the coming months? What you are to be is to look out for the sudden aid packages or investment deals from the US and from their back financial institutions in the US. And they're going to come and be presented as economic relief when the tariff really sets in. But they're likely to come with conditions that could erode the region's sovereignty. The tariffs, I believe, I believe the tariffs are merely the beginning. I believe the real objective is financial domination, which could reshape the economic landscape of the Eastern Caribbean for years to come. And I intend to get an economist who can dive into more of these things, because I think I owe it to you to get more explanation on these things. These are hypotheticals, and these are things that have been looked at because of what President Trump is intended to do from tomorrow. He said that the tariff is not only for China and Canada and Mexico and others, but it's for the entire globe, all countries. That's what he said. So the Eastern Caribbean dollar may seem insignificant in the grand scheme of the global finance, but it is intertwined with the strategic maneuvers of larger powers. And as the US implements these tariffs and seek to manipulate regional currencies, I believe that the implications for the EC dollar, the economies of the Eastern Caribbean nations, and their financial independence are very profound. And so, guys, the coming months will be critical in determining the future of the EC dollar and the economic sovereignty of the Eastern Caribbean currency. And you are to stay informed, stay vigilant, and we're gonna keep on this because it's a complex financial game that is unfolding, and we are in the midst of it as well, as always. Without us doing anything, we are in the midst of it, and we need to be very cognizant of that fact. Prices are going to go up at the supermarket a lot, but remember to like, share, and subscribe. Share the video, like it, subscribe to the channel, and get your friends to subscribe to the channel. There's a name change, and I know many of you may be wondering what's going on, but we are dealing with the Caribbean on a whole, and most of the subscribers were telling me and advocating for me all the time that we need to present a Caribbean channel, not just a single nation name. And so I decided to come up with the Caribbean Observer. And so I hope that you guys remain interested in this channel, continue to share the information as we continue to help to keep our brothers and sisters in this region up to date with what is taking place. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.